map laid out. I want to make it so that the map is actually something that the player has to worry about and not just this weird blob on the screen that means nothing. So, we're going to go down to the physics movement area, and before it calculates how much speed the player, which I don't think is actually a thing here, so no worries. So we're going to make it so that if this group ship dot hits shape, if it hits the big asteroid, that's asteroid main, I believe. Yes. If it hits asteroid main, it will take the player's velocities. Let's see, where is it? We'll take these. It will undo the last movement on that frame. And then reflect it. So now we get in there. We should not be able to enter the actual asteroid. We simply just bounce off, which is how I want it to be. The only side effect is that if a player is moving very close like that alongside it, then the impact will send them backwards. Which is alright. They shouldn't be hitting it anyways. But if they will hit it, then it should give them an idea of why they shouldn't. So now that we have the map all set up, let's go up here to the map area again, and I'm going to add a finish line so the player has something to actually go to. I'm also going to add checkpoints so the player can't just go to they can't just spin around it and get a short lap time that way. So to do that, I'm going to add a line there, call it a finish line, and it will just be a line that'll go from, I'm going to set it later on to be the center of the map, but I want this to be visible behind the asteroid so it doesn't pop up in front of it. So, I'm going to make it 400, 200, give it a fill of Gainsborough, a light gray. And that is not visible. I must have something in front of it that is preventing it. That's what's in front of it. Alright, so change of plans. I'm going to put it in here. Oops, last thing I meant to do. I want it to be in front of the stars. Now I don't know if it's going to move properly, which it won't. So you have to go down here to where the movement is. Take one of these, duplicate it there, make a finish line instead of stars. And And the same down here. And now the finish line should move properly with our comical ship here. If we get back over there, it will still be there. Maybe. Well, we seem to have lost the map, which is why I'm going to be adding an asteroid field later on. But for now, I'm going to add the checkpoints. And since it's going to be afterwards, I'm going to make this be it as well. Keep it right there, but I'm gonna add 2 checkpoints that'll be based off of the main asteroid's location. So check 1 will be a line that'll be centered at asteroid main dot center x and asteroid main dot center y. And the second set of coordinates will also be at the center x of asteroid main, the center y. Let's see, 8 times 50, and it's already so 50 times 300. It's already gonna be at about 1500, so we'll make it at about 1700 pixels. Above the center Y, I should say. 17,000, I should actually. Excuse me. And give it a fill of Gainsborough as well. Add it to the group. Add it to the movement. And now, make our comical ship again. And if we follow along this edge here, we should come up on a second line. Oops. It will take some getting used to, and that's why I'm going to add the ghost spaceship so the player can actually get an idea of where they're supposed to go rather than just aiming wanders aimlessly through this space. And we just bounced again. Alright. I might add a heading a heading UI later on that will also give the player a better idea of where they're supposed to go in case they actually manage to lose the bot. Which I intend them to lose the bot because I intend the bot to be very quick. It's supposed to be a demo of what a perfect run can look like. And I just noticed that there might be some error. It does not seem like these tanks are very accurate. It seems like it's hitting the core. No, it just is a little bit funky, is what's going on. Because this shape is so enlarged, the hitbox of the shape is getting a little funky. So if we keep going, there's the second line I was talking about. So this will be one of the lines that goes out for some ways. Actually comes out for quite a bit. Quite a lot. Okay, so where does this end? All the way out there. So we might have put it a little too far out. But that's alright. Ah, because what I'm going to try to do is have it so the player doesn't have to stay right on the rock. They can go out a little bit. It's just making sure that they're actually staying with, they're actually going around the rock rather than finding some possible loophole that lets them just go through it or just spinning around the finish line. All right. So this one should have kept that there. So the plus this one will be that, but negative 10,000. Might make this one go out further too. All right. And these. Now we have all four checkpoints. I'm going to add a little navigation UI to point the player in the direction of the next checkpoint. But first I need to add actual checks for all the checkpoints. So it actually will check and make sure that the player has passed one and that it'll point them to the next one that they need to go to. And the lap will only be valid if the player actually goes through all the checkpoints. If they don't go through them all, it will not respond when the player goes over the next checkpoint or when they go over the finish line. So they have to check all of them. But since they go out so far, it should be fairly easy to do so. I'm going to add a small little timer for the player. Let's see, where is the field UI? I want to put it right there. All right. And I believe we're on 30 frames per second. So that's how fast it will count up. This timer will be a label at 200 and put just above there at about 370. Value of 0. A font of Orbitron. Nice little sci-fi font. Give it a fill of let's do something between gold and white. 100 and 175. Yeah, I know it's going to be too small, but let's just see how that looks. Alright, that is a nice color. Might make it a little bit bigger, maybe a size 15. That is looking pretty good. Okay. And then timer dot e. This is what's actually going to count every frame. So timer dot e plus equals 1 every frame, and timer dot value equal timer dot e divided by 30. It's gonna look a little bit funky at first. Really big, ugly numbers. Yeah. But it seems to be counting at the proper rate, which is alright. So now I'll make that Python round. And now it should be counting with 1 decimal point. No, that is not right. Oh, I forgot that. It's got to be in here. So what's going on? Make this just divide by 10. And that is counting up way too slow. This might make it count up even slower. Alright, that's this one in here. It needs to be the same as that, and then have the extra one out here. I believe that's what's going wrong. Alright, that's looking good. And I believe that is on time too. I'm watching the clock, which you can't see, but it is looking like it's counting up at the right rate. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm going to add these little, maybe raise it up a few pixels and then add circles that'll tell you which checkpoints you passed, and if you pass them, they light up. That's about as simple as it can get. So bring it up here, bring it up 10 pixels, and then it's going to be a little circle just off to the left. Hit a little bit lower. Radius of 3. The fill of none. A border of. Let's make it slightly. This is an off-white red. Let's see how that looks. And if it looks good, I will add the other two. Looks alright. Maybe give it a bigger radius and a thinner border. It's about the same thickness. Over a little bit more. Alright, that looks good. So now, add the other two. Make sure they don't overlap. Great. Now, if a player hits this without going through it, it'll just clear all the records. It'll just start a new lap, but it won't record anything. Alright, so if ship hits shape check 1, then check 1 UI dot fill equals line green, and give it, change that off-white red to an off-white green. Let's make sure this first one's working. little ship. Yep, there's the bump. Another bump. There it is. Come on, where's the checkpoint? I do want this to be a little bit of a longer race. Alright, there we go. First checkpoint is working. Although I might try to keep it with a little bit of a red scheme like the rest of the screen, or a warm colored screen at least. Let's give this an RGB. Why don't we just fill it with gold? This. Let's get a bit of yellow instead, which should probably add the rest. So now we have 3 functional checkpoints. And when the player passes by the finish line, it'll check to see what their fills are. And if the fill is in the right color, then it considers the lap. If all 3 of them are the right color. Oh, damn it, we just lost it. Oh, there it is. So, all 3 are working. Now, let's make it so that when the player makes a new lap, or when they cross the finish line, no matter what, it's going to clear these. Later on, I'm going to come back and it will check these, but for now, it's just going to clear them. So equals none, check 1 UI dot border equals RGB 255, 240, and 240. And that will repeat for all 3, regardless of whether or not they were changed. That's not the right key. And then it will timer.e equals 0. Meaning, if I was to build my little ship here, alright, little ship, I can sit here until this timer is up, but as soon as I touch the finish line, it resets no matter what. And then let's go get one of these checkpoints. Whoops. Now I do want to find some solution for glancing bows like that, but currently that is beyond me. I might find something before another devlog. I might come up with something before this game is done being made. But for now, I have no idea how to fix glancing blows. Okay, there's check 1. Oops. That's a wall. feeling the weight of the ship. I might add a speedometer that will also serve as pointing in the direction that the ship is moving, because I'm realizing that looking at these stars, especially when you're going fast, can be a little off-putting. Um, it can get confusing as to which direction you're moving, so I'm going to change that. So I'll call this speed. And just put it right in the center of the screen to begin with. The font will be Orbitron. Give it the same fill as the timer. 255, 200, 175. The size of, actually, let's not change the size, I'll make it animated. Uh, Alright. Now, get X and Y. Actually, distance. Between 0, 0, ph dot x and ph dot y. X equals get point in diagram. Oops, that's not what I need. Wrong key. Equals angle 2, 0, 0, ph dot x, ph dot y. And this centers at 200, 300. And we will make it an A, the angle A. Give it a distance of, let's see, let's just make it about 75 plus V, so it gets a little bit farther. Oops, I forgot to actually apply it. If the player's going in reverse, it might get a little bit confusing, because it'll hide behind a timer. So I might make the color fluctuate. RGB 255 minus rand range 0 and Python round V. So the faster they're going, the more it'll fluctuate in color. Currently, though, it will not have any value. It will not display any value. I forgot to remove there. And while we're here, let's just apply a value. Give it a Python round so it's not spitting out some gibberish with 1,000 decimal places. And let's amplify it up so it gives more detail. What's going on here? Ah. I was remembering an old mistake and didn't realize the new one. Now what? 72. make it +1 to make this thing happy. This is why I'm constantly making the system run, so that it doesn't stop and do things like that. Okay, so now things are going off to the right, which of course we're not. There we go. It follows the direction that the player is moving. And the faster we go, further it gets. And you can see its color begins to fluctuate. Now it's a vacuum of space, so I did not program wind resistance, which I normally do. So you would normally see this rapidly start coming down. Yeah, we can keep accelerating. Moving at about 1,000 pixels per second, which the screen, this little screen is only about 400 pixels across, which is why the stars are looking funky, because they're crossing the screen faster than they can respawn. Yeah, we could just keep gaining speed, and the colors will begin. There we go. I was wondering when it was going to break. Um, but since there's going to be such a dense asteroid field, I'm going to make it denser. I might make it denser as the player gets farther out, and that will hopefully prevent the player from getting to such speeds. But that is it for this week, so see you next week.